thoughts. I am affected only by my thoughts. It needs but this to let salvation come to all the world. For in the single thought is everyone released at last from fear. Now has he learned that no one frightens him, and nothing can endanger him, nothing can endanger him. He has no enemies and he is safe from all external things. His thoughts can frighten him, but since these thoughts do belong to him alone, he has the power to change them and exchange each fear thought. Exchange each fear thought for a happy thought of love. He crucified himself, he crucified himself. Yet God has planned that his beloved Son will be redeemed. I am affected only by my thoughts. I am affected only by my thoughts. Your plan is sure, my Father, only yours. All other plans will fail. All other plans will fail. And I will have thoughts that will frighten me until I learn that you have given me the only thought that leads me to salvation. Mine alone will fail and lead me nowhere. But the thought you gave me promises to lead me home, because it holds your promise to your Son. I am affected only by my thoughts. I am affected only by my thoughts. I am affected only by my thoughts. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today in studying A Course in Miracles. We're reading from the Foundation for Inner Peace on this. It's actually a snowy, for me it's a snowy Monday morning, or Monday about noon actually. And thank you so much for joining me for lesson 338, which will be our lesson out of the Foundation for Inner Peace version. If you're reading from the original edition, it'll be about the same reading for the lesson and the associated reading, but the Psychotherapy, Purpose, Process, and Practice will not be in that edition. You'll need to go to acim.org to find that online, or get a book. If you're reading from the original edition, you can get everything else on jcim.net. That's the original edition website. But you won't, like I said, you won't be able to get the latter part. We'll be doing Psychotherapy, Purpose, Process, and Practice. But today, for Thursday, December the 4th of 2025, I'm Forgiveness Willie, teaching forgiveness from my bamboo patch in the front yard. I am affected only by my thoughts. And we sang through it. What an amazing idea, though, that we're affected only by our thoughts. Can we learn to let all our thoughts be governed by the Holy Spirit so that only happy thoughts and sounds can come to us? That's what we want to learn to do more and more. Be sure to do your longer practice period every day, where you spend a little time in the quiet, asking God to give you guidance. Let's go through what is the ego. Let's just sing through it today. What is the ego? Same chord changes. What is the ego? The ego is idolatry, the sign of limited and separated self, born in a body, doomed to suffer and to end its life, in death. It is the will that sees the will of God as enemy, and takes a form in which it is denied, The ego is the proof that strength is weak and love is fearful. Life is really death, and what opposes God alone is true. The ego is insane. The ego is insane. In fear it stands beyond the everywhere, apart from all. In separation from the infinite, in separation from the infinite. In its insanity it thinks it has become a victor over God himself. And in its terrible autonomy it sees the will of God has been destroyed. It dreams of punishment and trembles at the figures in its dreams. Its enemies who seek to murder it before it can ensure its safety by attacking them. But the Son of God is egoless. The Son of God is egoless. What can he know of madness and the death of God? When he abides in him, when he abides in him. What can he know of sorrow and of suffering? When he lives in eternal joy, when he lives in eternal joy. What can he know of fear and punishment, of sin and guilt, of hatred and attack, when all there is surrounding him is everlasting peace? Forever conflict free and undisturbed, in deepest silence and tranquility. To know reality is not to see the ego and its thoughts, its works, its acts, its laws, and its beliefs. Its dreams, its hopes, its plans for its salvation. And the cost belief in it entails, the cost belief in it entails. In suffering, the price for faith in it is so immense that crucifixion of the Son of God is offered daily. Is offered daily at its darkened shrine, and blood must flow. And blood must flow before the altar where its sickly followers prepare to die. Yet will one lily of forgiveness change the darkness into light, the altar to illusions, to the shrine of life itself. And peace will be restored forever to the holy mind which God created. The holy mind which God created as his Son. His dwelling place, his joy, his love, completely his. Completely his, completely one with him. So what is the ego? The ego is idolatry. The ego is idolatry. Okay, and then back on our lesson again. Let's just remember that we're to spend a longer period of time in the morning and again in the evening telling ourselves, I am affected only by my thoughts. And you know, spend a little bit of time. I mean, let this be a really good time for you to learn to be at peace, to kind of let go of all the thoughts of fear and pain. And anyway, every hour of the day today, also be sure to remind yourself, I am affected only by my thoughts. And then we're ready for in the process of psychotherapy, which is chapter 2 in Psychotherapy, Purpose, Process, and Practice. We're ready for Roman numeral 4, the process of illness. And we read down through paragraph 4. Let's start with paragraph 3 again. The descent into hell follows step by step in an inevitable course once the decision that guilt is real has been made. Sickness and death and misery now stalk the earth in unrelenting waves, sometimes together and sometimes in grim succession. Yet all these things, however real they seem, are but illusions. Who could have faith in them once this is realized? And who could not have faith in them until he realizes this? Healing is therapy or correction. And we have said already and will say again, all therapy is psychotherapy. To heal the sick is but to bring this realization to them. The word cure has come into disrepute among the more respectable therapists of the world, and justly so. For no one of them can cure, and not one of them understands healing. At worst, they but make the body real in their own minds, and having done so, seek for magic by which to heal the ills with which their minds endow it. How could such a process cure? It is ridiculous from start to finish. Yet having started, it must finish thus. It is as if God were the devil and must be found in evil. How could love be there? And how could sickness cure? Are not these both one question? Paragraph 5. At best, the word is perhaps questionable here. The healers of the world, in other words, the word healers could be questionable here. At best, the word is perhaps questionable here. The healers of the world may recognize the mind as a source of illness, but their error lies in the belief that it can cure itself. This has some merit in a world where degrees of error is a meaningful concept. Yet must their cures remain temporary, or another illness rise instead. For death has not been overcome until the meaning of love is understood. And who can understand this without the Word of God, given by Him to the Holy Spirit as His gift to you? Paragraph 6. Illness of any kind may be defined as the result of a view of the self as weak, vulnerable, evil, and endangered, and thus in need of constant defense. Yet if such were really the self, defense would be impossible. Therefore the defenses sought for must be magical. They must overcome all limits perceived in the self, at the same time making a new self concept into which the old one cannot return. In a word, error is acceptable as real and dealt with by illusions. Truth being brought to illusions, reality now becomes a threat and is perceived as evil. Love becomes feared because reality is love. Thus is the circle closed against the inroads of salvation. Paragraph 7. Illness is therefore a mistake and needs correction. And as we have already emphasized, correction cannot be achieved by first establishing the rightness of the mistake and then overlooking it. If illness is real, it cannot be overlooked in truth, for to overlook reality is insanity. Yet that is magic's purpose, to make illusions true through false perception. This cannot heal, for it opposes truth. Perhaps an illusion of health is substituted for a little while, but not for long. Fear cannot long be hidden by illusions, for it is part of them. It will escape and take another form, being the source of all illusions. Wow, the source of all illusions is fear. Paragraph 8. Sickness is insanity, because all sickness is mental illness, and in it there are no degrees. Let's catch this. Sickness is insanity, because all sickness is mental illness, and in it there are no degrees. One of the illusions by which sickness is perceived as real is the belief that illness varies in intensity, that the degree of threat differs according to the form it takes. Herein lies the basis of all errors, for all of them are but attempts to compromise by seeing just a little bit of hell. This is a mockery so alien to God that it must be forever inconceivable. But the insane believe it, because they are insane. A madman will defend his own illusions, because in them he sees his own salvation. Thus he will attack the one who tries to save him from them, believing that he is attacking him. This curious circle of attack, defense, is one of the most difficult problems with which the psychotherapist must deal. In fact, this is his central task, the core of psychotherapy. The therapist is seen as one who is attacking the patient's most cherished possession, his picture of himself. And since this picture has become the patient's security, as he perceives it, the therapist cannot but be seen as a real source of danger, to be attacked and even killed. Okay, let's look at that again. And since this picture has become the patient's security as he perceives it, the therapist cannot but be seen as a real source of danger, to be attacked and even killed. The psychotherapist then has a tremendous responsibility. He must meet attack without attack, and therefore without defense. It is his task to demonstrate that defenses are not necessary, and that defenselessness is strength. This must be his teaching, if his lesson is to be that sanity is safe. It cannot be too strongly emphasized that the insane believe that sanity is threat. It cannot be too strongly emphasized that the insane believe that sanity is threat. This is the corollary of the original sin, the belief that guilt is real and fully justified. It is therefore the psychotherapist's function to teach that guilt, being unreal, cannot be justified. But neither is it safe, and thus it must remain unwanted as well as unreal. And then the last paragraph, 11. Salvation's single doctrine is the goal of all therapy. Relieve the mind of the insane burden of guilt it carries so wearily, and healing is accomplished. The body is not cured. It is merely recognized as what it is. Seen rightly, its purpose can be understood. What is the need for sickness then? Given this single shift, all else will follow. Let's look at that again. Salvation's single doctrine is the goal of all therapy. Relieve the mind of the insane burden of guilt so wearily, that it carries so wearily. This is Salvation's single doctrine is the goal of all therapy. Relieve the mind of the insane burden of guilt it carries so wearily, and healing is accomplished. Wow, that's pretty simple. Let go of guilt, and healing is accomplished. The body is not cured. It is merely recognized as what it is. Seen rightly, its purpose can be understood. What is the need for sickness then? Given this single shift, all else will follow. There is no need for complicated change. There is no need for long analysis and wearying discussions and pursuits. The truth is simple, being one for all, that there is no guilt. Okay, I am affected only by my thoughts. And I really wanted to emphasize that you want to take that hourly remembrance throughout the day. Try for the top of the hour, but at some point every hour, and even more often if you want, tell yourself, I am affected only by my thoughts. So, if you're up for 16 hours during the day, take at least 14 times, because I hope you spend your hour, your time in the morning and your time in the evening with the idea, and then 14 more times throughout the day. Just remember to tell yourself, I am affected only by my thoughts, and then be sure that then look at and take a moment to look inside and see, how are you being affected? Are you happy? Have you lost your peace? Do you need to go inside and ask God for help? Is there something He tells you to do on the outside to bring you peace? Well, follow that guidance. Be sure that you're filled with peace and joy, and then be sure to give God thanks. Okay, let's see. I am affected only by my thoughts. It's the Advent season for Catholics and many Christians. Nativity fast for the Orthodox Christians. Margashirsha Purnima, which is a Hindu holiday. Out of holidays and observances, I found it's Cabernet Franc Day, the Vitis vinifera grape. Extraordinary Work Team Recognition Day. Well, recognize that when you have a team that you guys are getting something done, that's extraordinary. That's beautiful. Compliment your partners that are helping you accomplishing what you're accomplishing. Whether it's just a small chore of bringing in firewood as a family, or the more, the working of a construction company building a house, or the work of many farmers creating food together in harmony on a piece of land. Many ways be alert and thankful for this extraordinary Work Team Recognition Day. International Cheetah Day, the Acinonyx jubatus. Those things will reach 75 miles an hour, which is 120 kilometers an hour, and they can go from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Cookie Day, Dice Day, Santa's List Day, and I want to just make a little comment about that. When I raised my children, we had a little fun with the idea of Santa, but I want to encourage all of us to always speak truth to your children. Wear Brown Shoes Day and World Wildlife Conservation Day. And then out of Seed Savers Exchange, we've got another green, and it's a beet. And this is called the Yellow Intermediate Mangel Beet. It's a Beta vulgaris, winner of the 2015 Beet Evaluation for Taste. White and yellow ringed roots measure 4 to 6.5 inches long and vary in shape, while mangel and fodder beets are larger than typical beets and were traditionally used for animal feed. You'll find the sweet, juicy, and smooth textured roots are prime for the dinner table, and not just the barnyard. Seed Savers Exchange seed stock was originally acquired from Dr. Alan Capular of Peace Seeds in the 1980s. 65 to 80 days. And that is your yellow intermediate Mangel beet. Thank you, Seed Savers Exchange, for that information. Okay, are we ready to close with our song? Let's see where we're at here. I am affected only by my thoughts. Do we have enough time to read through it once before we close it? I am affected only by my thoughts. Oh, our word for peace is from the Philippines, the 7,641 islands. And it's from the Pampangan people. They live on that big island, the main island, Luzon. And the word is Kapayapan. So Kapayapan be with you. I am affected only by my thoughts. It needs but this to let salvation come to all the world, for in this single thought is everyone released at last from fear. Now has he learned that no one frightens him and nothing can endanger him. He has no enemies and he is safe from all external things. His thoughts can frighten him, but since these thoughts belong to him alone, he has the power to change them and to exchange each fear thought for a happy thought of love. He crucified himself, yet God has planned that his beloved Son will be redeemed. Your plan is sure, my Father, only yours. All other plans will fail, and I will have thoughts that will frighten me until I learn that you have given me the only thought that leads me to salvation. Mine alone will fail and lead me nowhere, but the thought you gave me promises to lead me home because it holds your promise to your Son. I am affected only by my thoughts. It needs but this to let salvation come to all the world. For in the single thought is everyone released at last from fear. Now has he learned that no one frightens him and nothing can endanger him. He has no enemies and he is safe from all external things. His thoughts can frighten him, but since his thoughts belong to him alone, he has the power to change them and exchange each fear thought. Exchange each fear thought for a happy thought of love. He crucified himself, yet God has planned that his beloved Son will be redeemed. Your plan is sure, my Father, only yours. All other plans will fail, and I will have thoughts. And I will have thoughts that will frighten me until I learn that you have given me. You have given me the only thought that leads me to salvation. Mine alone will fail and lead me nowhere, but the thought you gave me promises to lead me home because it holds your promise to your Son. I am affected only by my thoughts. I am affected only by my thoughts. Okay, well, thank you all so much for joining me today. What a key lesson. We're affected only by our thoughts. Don't blame anyone. Look deep inside and let go the thoughts that cause you pain, the fear thoughts. I am affected only by my thoughts. And as the Pampangan people say in the Philippines, Kapayapan. I am affected only by my thoughts. Kapayapan.